Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This week I have Chris Cocores from uFinancial, the president and CEO of uFinancial. And we just wanted to get you on, talk about, what you're doing in the community, your history in Cumberland County and like Central PA. And then just, I know you were sharing some fun stories before we started recording. So I kind of want to tap into them too, because you have an interesting home life as well, it sounds.
Yeah. I'd say God bless my wife. She's puts up with all my crazy ideas and has really kind of embraced them now. So it's kind of led us to a pretty fun and interesting place.
I feel like that's the same with my wife. Like, you have to give them credit because after a while they're just like, we're just going to roll with this.
Right.
But then every now and then they have a crazy idea too. You got to let them have that.
Like adopting 54 cats.
Yeah. We're going to go to that one. Right. But kind of just run down, like, I know you went to Dickinson. Yep. You've been in the community for, a long time. Kind of go through that and then how that transitioned to your role at uFinancial. Because you've not always been, you've been there for 18 years, but I'm sure that role's changed. It's morphed over some time.
Yep. So I grew up in southeastern Connecticut, very blue collar, wonderful, won the parent lottery. My parents were fantastic. Great for me from a just kind of finding myself perspective. They encouraged me to do every crazy thing I wanted to. That was, legal, moral, and ethical, right? But I think when you have parents like that, it really helps you kind of learn through experience, which was very valuable to me. And that led to having, I think, a pretty good sense of self. And, I think that's found its way in a positive way into my life and my career. So very grateful for their support, from day one.
And I'm sure that upbringing you had, you do with your kids now too. I know with me, my parents were like, we don't care what you do, but you got to do things. Yeah. Like you got to do stuff and then you got to stick with it. Like you can get out of it at the end of a season or the end of a whatever, but you got to hang in there. But they definitely, it's cool to be encouraged at that age. Because when you're an adult, it makes a huge difference.
It's funny. So now, living in PA, this is something I wasn't very familiar with and growing up where I did, but my daughter is big time into horse stuff, equestrian stuff. And it's become part of our life, We do some really interesting things there. It's provided an unbelievable opportunity for me to spend time with her one-on-one. We probably had the best weekend we've ever had together, just her and I, a couple weeks ago in Virginia at a horse show. Nice. Her horse got hurt, so I just got to hang out with her all weekend. It was pretty special.
Not even think about the equestrian stuff.
It was amazing. So, you never know. That was something that I was hesitant to kind of, get behind and get excited about.
It was foreign to you?
And I was, I couldn't have been more wrong, right? It's changed her life. I think that's really her vocation. She's 14 now, but I think she'll pursue that, as a career. She's passionate, loves it. You can just see the mental peace wash over her when she's out there with these animals. It's really special. I can't get that, but it's so cool to see somebody live doing that, so it's kind of neat.
My daughter just had that as well. Yeah. A little younger, but when you see it click with your kids, it's like a wild moment.
Is. Yeah. There you go.
So with her, it was softball. Yeah. She watched sports when I had them on and whatever, but like she wasn't the jock kind of kid. My younger daughter, she could pick up anything, anytime, just more athletically talented, but my older daughter just picked up softball and she's like all in this year. It was wild. So, and she's like, I don't want to do anything else now. Yeah. I just want to play softball.
I love that.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's cool to see that when that moment
switch
hits,
happens. Yeah.
And then they become so focused on it, but they love it.
Yeah.
So,
so that's great. On the family stuff, we have two sons as well that are younger, 10 and 8 now. They're awesome. They dig soccer. So that's cool. Soccer and basketball.
So you grew up in Connecticut?
Yeah, I grew up in Connecticut and moved here. Went to Dickinson.
Okay. What drew you to Dickinson?
So the football coach was also the golf coach. And he said, hey, if you come here, you can do both, which is great. I wasn't very good at football. Okay. I enjoyed it, but I was definitely better at golf. That's changed over the last 20 years. I'm much less good at golf now, but I certainly still enjoy it. And I met my to-be bride when I was a senior and she was a junior. And, Central PA felt a lot like the town I grew up in, kind of normal, blue collar environment. It was also conveniently, from a geographic perspective, about halfway between where I grew up and where my wife grew up. My wife grew up in Pittsburgh, so South Hills. So it just kind of worked out really well. I didn't know what I wanted to do until maybe the beginning of my senior year, from a professional perspective, until a super influential person in my life said, "Hey, you should try this out. You'd be good at this. You'd be good at helping people with their financial stuff. Your social. Go give it a whirl." So, kind of took a flyer and went to my interview, and I think I showed up with like ponytailable long hair and flip flops to the interview. And for some reason, they said, "Hey, you can come back for another one." And it went pretty well. I was a slow starter in the business. Got lucky for a couple of years, and eventually found my way into a leadership role in the organization, maybe 8 or 10 years in, and did that for 6 or 8 years. And then unexpectedly, the gentleman I reported to, my number one, I was a higher level manager, and he retired, and they encouraged me to, take the reins. And, we've been really lucky since then.
And you've been at the same place since you walked in the door.
One job I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So I'm one of the things we're super excited about is we have so many really long-term people that have been there forever. It just feels like a family. I mean, at awards banquets and stuff, I get to give out awards to people that I idolized then, I still do today. So it's pretty special.
And it's cool to hear that you idolize the team that works with you, not, it's not the other way around. Like,
No, it's 100% like my job is to work for them. We are a service organization, and we serve those people that then serve their clients in the communities. And it's pretty special. So,
and that's kind of like, now Lead Lamp, obviously they're associated with Verber Dental Group. But that's kind of how our two organizations run, where the group tries to take care of the team, which we know if we do better with the team aspect, then we'll do better with patient care as well.
Which is pretty special.
Yeah.
I think you guys have a pretty talented leader. I've grown to know him pretty well, and we do some business stuff together.
Yep.
And, I have a lot of respect for that man. He's pretty sharp.
We'll
keep him.
Yeah. But he's an idea guy too. So it's fun as the marketing side. Every now and then there's some curveballs that come in, and you're like, well, how are we going to do this?
His excitable energy,
but we make it work.
Is something else.
Yeah. I mean, you have to get creative.
Yeah.
You have to get creative.
Absolutely.
So that's, you're also, I know you got a history degree from Dickinson too.
Yeah.
So what area of this is not business or anything related, but like I'm interested in it because I love history too. Like what area of history do you think is more magnetic to you?
Yeah. I think in college, I think the specialty or whatever they make you do, they make you pick, I think I went with like modern European just because I really was drawn to the professors in that space at Dickinson. Great educators. I think the core of me kind of growing up in a small fishing town in New England, like is really drawn to that, period,
heavily influenced by
absolutely
European history. Yeah.
Absolutely. But, early American history, I think is always special, especially with my wife. We feel really lucky. We were talking about this earlier too, before we started, in 2021, again, talking about your spouses kind of embracing your, harebrained ideas. In 2021, we lived near Cumberland Valley High School.
Okay.
And I was bringing our daughter home from, a sports thing that night, and they were putting this giant sign in the ground it was night too. It was like fall, maybe October, November. So it was getting darker earlier. And I remember looking at this sign. I literally stopped on the road and I said, Soph, just hang out, chill here. Let me look at this sign. And you got these guys hammering the sign on the ground and said like, historic old farm going for sale next week or something like that. I asked for the sign at closing, but I think they destroyed it or whatever. But anyway, we bought this really old farm. And so, it's pretty special. It turns out like a lot of the stone that was used to build the house and the original bank barn, which was like 1759 and 1771, like the deed is British, like British the king.
Wild.
But the same stone was used from the same quarry coming out of the ground at the same time to build Old West at Dickinson. Huh. So it's like, our life kind of...
It's like full circle.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we really like that. It's been a special experience to participate in history a little bit and,
Yeah.
and enjoy it, with people.
So I'm a little bit about my side of history.
Yeah.
I didn't obviously academically go to school for history or anything, but my dad and I became very, very enveloped in not early, but like 1800s American Civil War history.
Very cool.
More so, not just because of Gettysburg,
Yeah.
but obviously that helps with our proximity to it.
Absolutely.
But we ended up traveling all over East Coast, out west a little bit, looking at Western theater battlefields, doing all the.
That's awesome.
So, and we went deep to the point where we, a little bit of a geeky moment for me. We did reenacting,
Awesome.
like Civil War reenacting, but we didn't do it like you see where they have the cars piling with all your tents and stuff.
Yeah.
We actually did something called campaigning,
Yeah.
which was you would like map out where those companies went and like what they wore and what they ate. So really was what you could carry on your back, and we would
That's wild.
march around and do crazy
What was that
stuff.
like?
It was wild. Like if it rained, like you're soaked.
Yeah.
But you're wearing wool, so it's not as cold.
Yeah.
Like, but it was cool. Like you put yourself into a perspective of like literally it's what they carry.
Yeah.
You know?
That's wild.
So we did that for a few years till I had kids and I couldn't do
Pretend
it
anymore. Yeah, right.
I could go out and play. But we did it because we were so sucked into American Civil War history.
cool.
And it's cool when you get into that. Obviously, my digital marketing background, I made a website for a couple of the groups that we portrayed. And we had people that were sending us like scanned diaries of their ancestors that were in that company. Like they're doing an ancestry search. They found us.
Yeah.
And we actually helped to transcribe some diaries and everything. Like
That's pretty cool.
so it was really cool because we got very granular with like the psychology of individuals during a terrible time.
It's like really participating in it.
Right.
That's pretty special.
Yeah. And we actually, we submitted one of the diaries through the archives down in Gettysburg at the visitor centers and archive there.
That's awesome.
And we're like, hey, we have this diary.
That's
like,
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
They're like, we don't have anything written from that company.
Yeah.
So
Like, I gotcha.
I could talk about that for like an hour.
That's awesome.
By itself.
Yeah.
But this area is just
it's
so full of that.
wrought with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Even back to what you're in, what you're more interested in, like that's what started our country, especially in this area. So
That's pretty cool.
let's talk about I want to come back to the farm in a minute because you had a fun story you wanted to share, but I want to talk about, what you're doing with uFinancial and just you as an individual and your team that impacts the community and kind of how you can take a client or just a group and actually help implement cool things that benefit the community.
Yeah. So our tagline or whatever, if you will, is really starts with a planning environment. So we help people plan. And then we either help them protect if something goes wrong in their life financially, or plan for if it all goes right and it all goes to plan. So, typically that's done through investments and insurance. And, we've grown significantly. It was wild working with people through COVID. I mean, not being able for advisors to go see their clients in a time of crisis when the market was going crazy.
Did you take on the CEO role like right before COVID? 2018?
2018, 1/1/18, we turned everything over,
Okay.
So
you had a little bit of time pre-chaos.
wild. Yeah, a couple of years pre-chaos. And then, we had our COO, she's unbelievable. She started 2 weeks before COVID. God bless her too. I mean,
for operations.
Oh my goodness,
what
gracious! It's like
a thing to
trial by fire. Here you go, right? So her deft hand definitely guided us very effectively through that wild time period, and the advisors did a great job. I mean, the embracing of Zoom and that working at a distance was something new for us. Along with the navigating people through a wild time, in the markets, but. We're fortunate to serve about 130 advisors today, kind of all over America now. We were a very regional organization. So kind of think like State College down to here, a little bit west of us, and then out to Philadelphia.
Okay.
And that's changed significantly. We have a bunch of branches in Florida, Arkansas, North Carolina. We have one in Pittsburgh. We're looking at 2 in Texas, we have one out west that we think are going to open this summer too. So
Cool.
It's been pretty wild, just from a navigating change from a keeping everybody connected perspective has been a big learning experience for the organization as well. So just trying to keep up and make sure we're supporting everybody to the best of our ability.
Yeah. Now, I think you were saying COVID was a trial by fire. Every organization felt that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But especially in like a financial area, I'm sure you had a lot of people that were like just smashing panic button.
Yeah.
And
wild.
You have to be there to kind of tell them to cool off, wait it through. Obviously, we got through that. But at the time, I'm sure that was a big challenge for you guys to have your clients coming to you in that moment of panic and just kind of calm them down.
Yeah, we had some really thoughtful advisors, I think, that embraced the opportunity and knew that this would probably be not a short term, but this would eventually go away. Obviously, there was tons of harm that came to the world during that time, which is terrible, and you wouldn't want to wish on anybody. But I think some of our advisors had the foresight to say to clients like, "Hey, this is the best opportunity you're ever going to have to invest." When the market took a dive that spring, I think it was March, and for the clients that participated in that, I think it's gone very well, obviously, since then. So it's a wild scenario, but
But it happens. I mean, hopefully not in that fashion again. But if you look back through history, and this isn't turning into a finance podcast, but like looking back through history, there's always, every couple decades, there's a moment where there's a big crash or there's a big dip, and people that ride that through or they add on during that usually benefit.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was this, so two thoughts on that one. One is, like this show Billions is founded on that, right? A terrible situation. But the other quote, one of the advisors shared with me, he said, there's an old Venetian saying, like Venice, that says like plagues last for, I forget what it is, 2 Easters and there are 2 Christmases and 3 Easters or something like that.
Okay.
And I guess Venice has been around forever. So, it's pretty wild. So,
yeah, I mean, in the short-sighted view, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And there's always loss and things that happen. And when you come through that, but and that's kind of just in life, in any bad scenario that you're in, like there's an end, like it's coming.
Figure it out.
You just got to sit there and, ride out the storm sometimes, or get creative.
Yeah.
So, and that's just not even financial. That's just in anything you're doing.
There were some unique, I think, just from a business perspective, unique opportunities for organizations, during that time. Like for us, I think we were able to grow geographically very quickly. We opened, I think, during the pandemic era, just call it from beginning first quarter, end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter, end of first quarter, 2020 until 2022, we'll say, when everybody felt pretty confident kind of going back out into society again. I think that's when we had our biggest geographic kind of explosion. I think it really knocked down the walls of your support network needs to be within 50 miles or 100 miles.
Right.
It was like, who does your kind of vibe and story and manifesto resonate with?
And then you realize that you can connect to them in an instant online and do, especially with, the work that we do and a lot of what you do. I think it was helpful to realize for businesses like that, where like, I don't have to be in the office or we can have another office instantly connecting to the other, remote locations.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
So I think I bring that up because I don't think that's unique to us. I think that's been unique to a lot of businesses that have grown. And I think it's provided opportunity for people that live in markets like Central PA. It's like if your ethos matches those that are not in the local area, your company can still be housed here.
You can still partner with them
with them. Great place to work, wonderful employee talent pool, access to a lot of big cities. I mean, so I think there's a lot of benefits to being housed in a market like Central Pennsylvania and then being able to grow.
And Central Pennsylvania is a weird market too.
Yeah.
It's still growing
rapidly.
Exponential. It's huge.
Fastest growing county in the state.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a weird, it's not a secondary market
Yeah.
either. It's a strange area because if you are from a big metropolitan area,
Yeah.
you're coming to this area thinking that's all farms and whatever, but
Right.
we're stuck in between that rural and DC, Philly area metros. It's a cool location to be at.
It's neat too because I think there's a lot of highly educated people. I think the cost of living is tremendously reasonable.
Compared to going east.
Absolutely.
From here,
or south, and a lot of places down south. So I think it's popular for a lot of very economical, practical reasons. I think somebody told me Carlisle, why there's so much trucking industry in Carlisle is if you put a map in the center of the highest population concentration within 500 miles in America, it's Carlisle, PA, something like that.
Huh.
So it's like, seriously, if you draw a ring 500,000 or 500 miles around Carlisle, it's like you get Chicago, all the lake towns, maybe even like Indianapolis, and then you get like Boston through DC on 95. And that concentration of human beings.
Richmond.
Right.
You're hitting.
It's the highest concentration of human beings in America.
That's wild.
Something like that.
I never thought about that way.
Yeah, it's wild. And that's why all those trucks go through there every day.
It's and you have how many interstates that all connect?
Right.
Either maybe not directly like 81, but you have 80,
all
76.
Yeah.
95 is not that far. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
If you look at the
15,
interstate map,
yeah.
it's like a spider web out of central Pennsylvania.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a pretty unique place.
A lot of economy.
Business. Yeah.
A lot of economy.
We just need we love Harrisburg International. We need some more big time direct flights. That's my only ask.
If you want to travel, it's not
That's
great.
right. If you want to embrace that, that growth of your status in business, it'd be great to have some more. Yeah, you got to get a great airport. Just need more direct flights.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, it's a little tight in there too.
This is for American Southwest. We need you. Yeah,
more than Frontier.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Allegiant.
That's right. That's right.
But if HAA is listening, hopefully they take note of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you guys are able to impact a lot of people, and probably from all walks of life too. It's not like uFinancial. You can help people get to where they need to be or to maintain where they are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's pretty rewarding in your profession, seeing people at the end of whatever their goal is finally hit that goal.
Yeah.
Because it's a long journey too.
Yeah.
Like kind of explain that. Like if I was going to come in today and say like, hey Chris, here's my plan. My wife and I want to do, X, whatever. You would lay out a roadmap or something, I'm sure, and say like, here's what we're going to start with. And I'm sure there's adjustments along the way.
Yeah.
But kind of explain that journey when you first meet a new client, and then the joy it is when they finally hit that, and because you've been in it long enough too. Where I'm sure you've seen people hit that goal.
I'll give you a story that I think represents the question pretty well.
Okay.
Was working with a client down near Chambersburg, and I was newer in the business, maybe 2 or 3 years in the business. And I think their daughter was probably 9 or 10 at the time. I remember going to their house, 6 o'clock meeting, whatever. They're wrapping up dinner. Their daughter's running around. And I remember specifically them saying, hey, we think we're going to be fine for retirement, but just check in, like let us know if you think we're doing okay, which they were. They said, we're worried about paying for our daughter's college. Like that's our big concern. And so they got serious about it, and they doubled down and said, okay, we're going to change this and this and this, in the household budget so we can really carve off a significant amount of savings. And I think their daughter ended up going to Shippensburg and got like a partial scholarship, academic, great kid, and I remember one of the spouses said to me, like right when we sent the check to them so they could pay for the first semester, she was like, thank you so much. Like it meant the world that we had somebody, kind of on our side and made us finish this thing. It's like, I didn't make you do anything. You did all the work. I was just the device you used to get there, right? But those kind of moments are super validating for advisors. And I think that's what our work is about helping people, accomplish their goals for when things go right. And, the other side of the business is tremendously moving. Like one thing we do every couple of years at one of our big meetings is we have our advisors that have gone through what we call death claims, which is when, let's say you owned life insurance through us and, somebody passes away. And, you're there, you're the advisor is the device that helps, wrap up the finances for the family and make sure that everything's going to be okay, at least from a financial perspective. You can never replace the loved one that's gone, right? But being in a position to make that large of an economic impact to a family so that, you don't have to move, you don't have to sell your home, you don't have to switch school districts.
Although their life was changed, it doesn't have to uproot.
Right.
Their life.
All the positive stuff that's still there. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah.
Those are moments when you hear your advisors talk about, we had one advisor from State College who's like, we call him Exhibit A. And, he talked about delivering I'm getting choked up thinking about it. He talked about delivering a death claim for his sister and the impact to his nieces and his brother-in-law. And it's like, unfathomably challenging, but it's like if there's one role you could play in that, like it's a big deal.
Right. When it's kind of what we talked about earlier with the economic reference where obviously it's a terrible thing that happened, but because they were planning and because they had the right people checking out what they were doing and on the right path, you can turn a terrible event into something that
a little less terrible, maybe.
It helps the family in the long run not change as much of their life that they would have had that not been planned.
Yeah. It's a pretty powerful business, that we're in. And, it's unsimilar to a lot of other businesses in a lot of different ways, but, the emotional rewards to it are tremendously moving.
Yeah.
Tremendously moving. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And the one thing you said that I wanted to hit on where, you weren't really pushing that client to save for college. They were doing the work.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's, so I'm an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
But, I felt like at times my parents were pushing me to get my Eagle Scout done because I was, I might have snuck in at the deadline right before I turned 18, but still like the client was me. My parents were the ones pushing me to get that done. I still did all the work.
Yeah.
But it's similar to that where you guys aren't pushing your clients and your customers to get to whatever their goal is, but they feel that because now they're using you guys as their advisors and for that service, like they got to stay on track, I'm sure. Yeah. And not that they're going to let you down, but like, hey, we're invested in this. We need to make sure we're staying on track. So in a way it is kind of that, not a fallback, but like you guys are there double checking on it for them.
Almost like an empowerment, mentality. Right. Like, hey, our goal is to empower people to make great decisions on a consistent
and you're showing them what they can do when they make those decisions.
Here's a couple things you can do to help you get there. Yeah. Right.
Sweet.
That's been kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the farm.
Sure.
So, you're doing a lot. Obviously you said before we started the podcast, you said you rescue some animals, you do a lot of work.
Well, I don't do anything. Well, yeah, credit where credit's due. So I can't remember.
The farm does.
Yeah. I can't remember what I was doing. I'll give you a little backstory, which I think helps explain it. So we lived in a lovely neighborhood, out near Cumberland Valley that we really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. And this farm came for sale. We jumped on it, not really knowing what to expect. And the first year,
and you didn't grow up on a farm.
No, I don't know anything. And I'm not handy either, like when it comes to fixing stuff or whatever. So like we get into this, this situation on the farm. And the first year was, just a battle. Like my wife knows a lot more about that stuff than I do, for credit's due. So I think it has like 3 different HVAC systems because of how old it is. It's like you just use the technology that's out when you're putting something in.
This is the farmhouse.
No, this is like where we live.
Oh, this is okay. Yeah. This is the old
house. Misguided choice, maybe, in hindsight, but we love it today. And, do we wear some scars from our first year there emotionally, trying to figure it all out together? Absolutely. But will we change it? Probably not, So, as we've kind of evolved into enjoying it more, my wife who loves animals, she's the biggest bleeding heart you ever made. She's a wonderful human being. She, when we got there, she's like, well, we have all this space now. Like, maybe we should start fooling around with farming and stuff. And I'm like, hey, do whatever you want. I'm supportive. So, do whatever you want. I think was a great idea from the onset. It was like, okay, we got 6 chickens and we got 2 goats, right? And now I think, fast forward to probably 2 years later, and I think there's probably one of the original goats passed away. We've adopted probably 5 or 6 other ones from people that are moving that just don't have space for them, whatever. So we have a bunch of goats, and then we probably have 40 or 50 chickens, and we've adopted probably a third of those just from people. Same deal.
Right.
We've adopted 3 horses, so that's been pretty wild, having them there. And I think it was 2 weeks ago I came home, and my wife was always adopting like a cat or 2 here or there, and then like the tsunami of cats showed up a couple of weeks ago where she called me and she was like, "Hey, I have this opportunity. I'm gonna move some stuff around the garage, but I'd love for you to support me in this. Like, they found this trove of cats on some farm." That was quickly multiplying. And she was like, they got to get them out there or else, they're all going to die and they're going to be left alone on this farm and blah, blah, blah. So 54 cats showed up at our house a couple of weeks ago. So, but, to her credit, and this is also a public plug, anybody that's listening that wants any cats, you know where to find us. Yeah. I think she's rehomed probably about half of them now. So
wow.
Yeah. So I think there's 20 something left. So if anybody wants 20, they can be outside cats too, barn cats, field cats, whatever, but
just rehoming them.
Yeah. We want a home for them. That's not, not our home anymore.
Yeah. Now, you have goats. Do you have fainting goats?
Is this something you discovered or
well,
Mike told you?
Yeah. Through Mike.
So that was the original agreement. I was like, hey, Emily, like if we get these goats, like, I mean, I'm okay with the goat thing, but like, can they be fainting? She was like, fine. So she agreed to that. So it's funny, just seeing them go through that, like when they get nervous or when the horses run or something.
It could be as simple as like another animal running.
Hilarious. I mean, it's the wildest thing.
It doesn't hurt them.
No, they just go kind of like stiff for a minute or two when they're not really that scared. And then they kind of come back to life, and they're so fantastic.
That's wild.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
I wonder what like evolutionary thing.
Made
that like
where they just get scared beneficial? And they lay down. Yeah,
if you're thinking of like a predator and prey,
right?
The prey
just eat them, right?
Fainting and stiffening up for a couple minutes, like that's a terrible evolutionary trait.
Gosh only knows, yeah.
That's wild.
But it's cool now. So our latest iteration, we had a fox eat a bunch of chickens a week or two ago. And so last night, Emily came home with 4, I think they're called guinea hens.
Okay.
And chickens. And so she was telling me about it this morning. You have to like keep them together when they're babies so that the guinea hens bond, or else they'll just leave because they're not like cageable birds.
Yeah.
So you bond them in like this weird symbiotic relationship. So the guinea hens now want to like protect the chickens. So like they will make all kinds of noise, and if there's another fox that's sneaking up on the chickens, they don't see. Chickens can't see
the alarm.
It's wild, man. So, we're hoping that helps influence the foxes to stay away without getting too barbaric with the foxes.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's just kind of cool. And then they eat ticks too, which is something I recently learned as well.
I think possum do too.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
we should get some possums.
Yeah, that's the next animal in your farm.
I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We live in a farm area, so I only have like an acre and a half.
Yeah.
But we're surrounded by farm and then woods on the other side, so we get wildlife like that. Not guineas, but we get foxes and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see them, but like
they're looking for dinner.
They're gonna eat.
Yeah, they're looking for dinner.
Yeah, we have a rabbit, so we used to have an outdoor rabbit. Now we brought him in because I'm like, we got
somebody's gonna eat that
bears and
rabbit.
wildlife.
Yeah.
Like something's gonna eat that rabbit.
I love that you have an outdoor rabbit.
We did. Now it's an indoor rabbit. It was outdoor till I was like, I grew attached to it, and I was like, no, something's gonna eat this thing, and then we brought it in.
Yeah. It's cool too. I think the concentration of like deer we have that come off the mountain, and coyotes. We've had coyotes on the property before, which is pretty alarming.
They're terrifying at night.
Oh, that's what
you ever walk out?
When they come out
and you hear them like doing their chirping down there, like
close. You're like, man, this is not good.
It sounds like the devil is coming out of the ground.
Yeah,
when they start yipping over there.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a cool area, like Central PA. So you got all of the business. That we have. What we talked about. We got a lot of wildlife in Central PA. Sometimes it gets too close for comfort, but it's in the area. But it is kind of the premise of this podcast. Like it's a cool area to be in, and you can be a business leader, but you can also have a farm because you're not in like downtown Philly.
Right.
So it offers a lot of cool experiences, and I'm sure your kids are going to have a different view on how they were raised because they have this farm that's available now, and it,
Yeah.
it teaches them probably way more than you ever expected to as well.
I think it's molded certainly our daughters' lives. I don't know if the boys are old enough to kind of carve that identity out yet, but she loves that stuff, and it's cool to see her have the ability to enjoy it right there. So,
is she involved in, like, we were talking earlier about your kids being involved in just activities, just get them in activities. Was she in other sports as well, and then kind of just realized that equine's where you wanted to go?
It's wild because my wife used to coach lacrosse at Cumberland Valley.
Okay.
And they did pretty well. I think a year or two that she was there, they had the
high school team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, girls varsity. I think they made it to pretty far into districts, and they had a couple really successful players that played like D1, D1 AA. I think there's D1 AA for ladies lacrosse. So that was, I had never watched women's lacrosse before. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was awesome. So, that's, our daughter is very tall, very fast, definitely could be labeled as, aggressive, from a sports perspective. I mean, she's just not, she doesn't have a lot of fear, right?
She'll just go at it.
She's a goer, right? And so she started in lacrosse, and it was such a pleasure to watch that and enjoy that, watching her, succeed at it. And so I think she did it for 2 or 3 years, and then, found, I think it was right around COVID, she found the riding thing. And so my heart was like a little bit broken on that, but it's like, now it's like, this is her thing. So it's been kind of cool.
Yeah. It's fun to watch them grow like that.
Oh yeah.
So
just see him find something to enjoy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let him do it.
Yeah.
So I've never played softball. I played ice hockey my whole life.
Yeah.
And I took my kids skating.
Yeah.
And they were
like, come on now.
Yeah. I was like, man, if I could get them into just wanting to, even if I don't care if it's figure skating at that age, like I could just hang out at the rink. Like I missed that.
Yeah.
And they weren't too wild about that.
Not so much.
Little heartbroken, but
yeah.
But they found now new sports and they love them. It's awesome.
The neat part for us on the horse stuff is it's becoming a family business. Like we opened a new LLC, so we've gotten into I think we own a part of 3 different racehorses now.
Okay,
which is a language unto itself and pretty special. 1 locally and 2 that are domiciled in Florida, but they kind of come back and forth to the East Coast depending on the season. And then my daughter recently, I love this like business leadership out of her. She was like, hey, we're interested in getting these 2 Shetland ponies that she wants that were just wild or whatever. They were living on a farm.
Yeah.
And she was like, I want to train them and then see if we can sell them as like an enterprise.
So she's starting to help.
And I'm like, I love this.
The equine business.
Like, good for you, man. This is awesome. So, my wife and I were very supportive, and she's, committed. She's out there like every night or every other night, like working on them. And I think that, you do that a handful of times and you learn that skill on your own. Like, it's super impressive to me. Like, I was blown away.
At that age?
This is amazing.
I wasn't thinking
I know.
At my age.
Forget about it. I was thinking about video games. You
know?
know? So it's been kind of cool to watch that development and get excited as it's a way that you could provide, a livelihood for herself one day, without us doing much about it,
And that's a credit to, I think, kids in that next generation where a lot of people don't think, at least my age and older, there's that stigma that they're like, oh, they're always on their tablets or they're always doing whatever. But like they still want to, kids that are coming into the workforce in the next 5 to 10 years, when they're provided that opportunity and it sparks that, whatever that is that ignites in them, like they still want to latch on to that. They're no different than kids when we were their age or 20, 50 years ago before that. It's just, there is that stigma that, they're always on TikTok or YouTube now, but if you can divert them from that, they can latch on with something like this and like really run with it. And it can shape who they are as an adult.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Even if she doesn't stick with equine stuff, it's teaching her a lesson and
totally
she can use that for the rest of her life.
Yeah, totally.
That's wild. Cool. Well, now what's a Shetland pony? That's my last question.
I think they're like 4. They're probably like 4 feet tall.
Okay.
And they literally, it's like, they literally look like stuffed animals. I mean, they're almost.
Are they like
funny.
Fuzzy?
Yeah, they're like almost.
Okay, so I think of like a Shetland sheepdog.
Yeah,
and they're like puffy.
Yeah, no, not puffy.
Okay.
They're just. It's like a real horse, just condensed, into a smaller
squished.
version of it. Yeah.
Huh.
So they're just funny to look at, but she's helping them go over jumps and like learn how to like move.
That's awesome.
Well, so other kids could ride them, and love
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah, more power to her.
That's great. Do you have any like parting words or a summary of like just the Central PA area, or like your experience coming from a different area and kind of just raising your family in Central Pennsylvania for anyone listening?
What's funny about the area, I would say, is I remember my parents, and again, I'm a 995 kid, right? So, grew up in New England, where when my friends would talk to each other, very directly, when they would come to visit me at college, they'd be like, why are you guys yelling at each other? We're like, no, this is just how we communicate, right?
So aggressive.
I know. My parents were blown away when when they came to drop me off at Dickinson in the summer for football. They said, hey, like, these people are just nicer here. And I'm like, what do you mean? And my parents were like, at multiple four-way stops, which there's a billion of in Carlisle, right? They're like, people literally every time would be like, you go first. You go, right? Whereas in, Greater New Haven, like you get, the bird, and they're like yelling at you for trying to, stop or whatever. So
you didn't slow and go.
Yeah, it's like wild.
It's
it's like wild. So I think, I love the area because there's just like genuinely nice, kind-hearted people that we've found in the area versus kind of growing up on 95. Nothing to take away from that area. It's awesome for its own right. But
were you near Hartford? So I apologize.
Yeah,
my only experience with Connecticut is Hartford.
Yeah.
Because I had a hockey tournament up there one time, and it was on the weekend, and Hartford was dead. Because there's no one there on the weekend.
Yeah,
that's why they can't keep a hockey team. I'm a hockey fan, so they couldn't keep their hockey team.
Dude, I was there. I was in 8th grade when the Whalers left. It was brutal. Yeah. I was like petitioning my dad to like buy season tickets. He's like, absolutely.
Keep them alive.
He's like, absolutely not. We're not doing that.
Anyways, when you say Connecticut, my only experience with Connecticut is the dead town of Hartford on like a Sunday.
We were more towards Rhode Island. So it's like this little town right off 95. Now there's a big outlet mall there, Clinton. Everybody knows Clinton Outlets. That's where I went to school. My high school used to be right across from the outlets. But, it was in the summer, the population like tripled. So it was like, it's like going up the Jersey Shore.
No, everyone comes in for the beach.
Town. It's a beach town, right? So in the winter, it's very cold there. The other advantage I would say to this area versus New England is like the weather. People don't think is that much better. I think it's night and day better. It's all like I'm a golfer, as we talked about. You get like a month on each end of the golf season here that you don't get up there. Like it's unbelievable. So and like just you seem to have this really short spring here, or we do.
Yeah, it's
whereas
like
in Connecticut, it was
a week of spring,
and then your summer, right? Yeah, which is like right now.
Yeah,
it's 85 today or something.
I know, I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't like the winter.
Early,
so like
I hate the winter, right? Yeah. So that's been pretty cool. I think to enjoy, and I think that fall is just amazing. It feels like it lasts forever too. I still hate winter, regardless of where we live, but love the weather here. That nice kind of mid-Atlantic weather is way better than it is in New England. So those are my two plugs for anybody watching that's considering not living in New England anymore.
Well, I think
taxes are better.
I think just to wrap up, it's there's a lot of business going on in Cumberland County and Central PA. A lot of growth. There's a ton of opportunities. Like if you're moving into the area, it's huge. Obviously, your business thrived in Central PA and has expanded across the country. But people take it for granted anywhere they live. So it's cool to talk about where you live and the benefits of it when you, it's easy to, after you've been here a while or your whole life, to just be like, it's just Central PA. Like, it's boring. People, it's a thriving area. People love it.
It's a great place to raise a family.
So
great place to raise a family. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks you for coming on.
Thanks
sharing a little bit about what you
pleasure.
Do at work and outside of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck with your remaining 24 cats as well.
If anybody wants them, they know where to get them.
And I want to see these fainting goats.
Yeah.
So Mike Verber, the only reason I know about that is because Dr. Verber was telling us, he's like, oh man, I'm going to have Chris bring in his fainting goats. We're going to do a thing. And I'm like, I only had known from YouTube. And I was like, I gotta see these things.
So it's so funny. Just in closing, my wife runs one of the local preschools and, is passionate about the place. So yesterday, I'm getting ready for work. She's got her car down to the other end of the farm. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm bringing the goats to work. wait, time out. You're bringing the goats to work, but also like in your car? And she's like, yeah, no, they'll be fine. Right. So she sent me pictures from the preschool. She's got the goats there. The kids are having a great time. So it's just cool. You're always welcome. You're always welcome to check them out.
I'll have to come by and check them out.
Totally.
My kids will probably get a kick out of it.
Oh, they're hilarious. They're hilarious.
Sweet. Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you coming on the show. And if you ever want to come back and talk about anything new that's going on, you're always invited back.
I appreciate
but you got to bring a goat.
Thank you. Hey, we'll call it the price of admission.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks.
Right. Yeah.